I'm going to be showing you how to do some of the basic features that I've been showing you in class this week. One of the things that we're going to look at today is the Illustrator file that we've downloaded, and you'll notice that the file that we're looking at here is tall laser cutout. Now some of you may be working with lids or different components. I'm just going to give you a couple of basic rundowns of what we need to do with the lines, how we get an image off the internet, and how we adjust the color so it's black and white so that when it does actually come out it looks alright. First thing we need to do is make sure our Illustrator file is saved and downloaded, and open the file. So just simply double click on it and make sure the file is stored in a location where you can readily find it, as you'll need to be coming back to it quite regularly. If we look at the screen and we zoom in by holding down the Alt key and moving in, we'll notice that we have a lot of lines that are appearing on the screen, and you've probably been instructed in the class already that we need to do something with this. So some of the definitions are red as a color will cut all the way through, and black is the different depths that we have within the image. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure all of our lines are actually selected red. Now we have the fill and we have the stroke. Now one is the line, one is the fill. So what we need to do in this particular case is make sure that our structure has moved to red, and you notice all these lines are now red. But one thing we need to look at is the size of our laser that cuts is very, very fine. So we want to change the stroke size to be quite small, something like 0.001. So quite a fine little line, which will give us a very accurate measurement. You won't really see any visual changes there too much, but there are a couple of subtle changes that are made through there. Now one of the things that you might want to do is to alter the text that's on the page that we've got. Now you'll find that if we zoom in quite closely, and I'll move up here, this has actually come in from Creo. There's actually not a lot of work that we can actually do here. So if you're going to do that, you'll need to remove that and actually add your own name in if you've skipped that for a shortcut step, or hopefully you've embedded your name in the other program and you can build it in. If we go to the text tool, we click on the text box area here, and we just type in something simple like Mr. Parkin. Now obviously that size is quite small. We can highlight that once our text tool is selected, and we can increase the font size, make it a little bit bigger. And you of course would like to put in the date, so 22nd of the 11th. You may put in something similar if you want to do that. Now our fill is solid. Now there's a couple of things we need to make sure we've got right here. We need to make sure that the inside is actually, the line is black and the fill is nothing, and that will give us a nice clean stroke. So not white, but the fill must always be of that sort of color. Now of course we've gone black, so it's going to be quite deep, and if we look at our other areas here, actually I might just select one down the bottom, just select that one there. Now so we've still got red, we've got a black. What we need to do is we should have actually changed that to say none for the fill. So we're just going to make a quick correction because we're more likely going to make that mistake. So let's do that. Let's go red for our line color, and we're not going to have a fill. So no fill. And of course our writing needs to change because that will cut all the way through, which is not what we want to do. We'll give that a black color so it's a nice deep cut. Now our size is 1, so it's quite a thick line cut, and again you can change the stroke size of that if you want to, make it quite small if you want. I'll leave that adjustment up to you. There'll be a little bit of play as you do it. 0.1, any of those sorts of numbers will give you a pretty clear cut as we're going through. The next thing we want to do is to put an image on here. So all we need to do in this particular, and we're going to look for an image. So let's find one of a line head. That will do, just something very, very unique. Now you could of course choose a black and white image. For argument's sake, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to choose that one there. I'm going to view the image, see what it looks like. Now first thing I need to do is to save that image. So I'm going to save that onto the desktop. Doesn't really matter what the name of the file is at this particular point. And what I want to do is I'm going to open that file within here. Now a couple of things can happen when we actually do this. One, the file will open up and be fine like that. You may find you may have to go File New and actually work with it. But remember, our laser color doesn't work in these colors. So what we need to do is we need to change this to shades of grey. Give it a moment to process. Actually, that's come through pretty good. But what can happen sometimes is that if we expand that, you may find that you want to tweak this a little bit in your own particular fashion. So what you could do is you could actually come through here and actually start changing the particular colors we've got. But all I want to do is highlight it all, drag it across, and release it. And if we try and fit it in here in the middle roughly, holding down the Shift key to resize it, and dragging it roughly into the middle of the image, we'll have our black and white shape. Now that will actually print out as a laser cut. So remember, it always needs to be black and white or grayscale. And of course, if you don't like that, then you need to go through and actually change the color of the grey. So you might change the tones, but be careful if you do something like I've just done there. You'll need to actually make sure that when you do it, so let's get into the layer, you actually change the particular area of the sequence that you're looking at. You can do that by double clicking onto it, and you notice at the top here we have this layer feature that's there, and just to back out. So it'd be good to see if you have a bit of a play with that. Try changing the color lines, changing the shading, and put even. You might try to put some holes. So for example, if you wanted to put a hole in here for a particular effect, we could change the line to red, and remember the fill is blank, and that will cut the line all the way through. Remember, it's quite a thick line, so it may not be as you want it. Just remember to change the stroke size. So it's quite thin. As you see, it's a nice thin, very precise cut line. Once you've done with that, you just need to save your file, File Save As, and continue.